Okay, so I'm waiting for people to come on. Namaste, namaste, namaste. The spiritual journey is quite filled with twists and turns and bends. It's quite an amazing journey. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for joining. So I'm waiting for more people to get on. And my attempt is going to be as diplomatic as possible. Because one of my great sisters told me that I should be. So I will not be shooting from the hip today at all. I'm going to be very diplomatic because I need to explain what happened to the Discord. Hi, how are you? Al. So we had a Discord that was formed by somebody else. And they insisted on forming it for me, which I was kind of like, I didn't have the bandwidth to do the Discord. Now, the Discord was formed back in, I'd say, May, June of last year. And a person, decided to delete it. A person who formed it decided to delete it. And I'm not going to share with you what this person said. I'm not hiding anything. If I shared with you what they said, I'd be throwing them under the bus. So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say to you is this. What I'm learning, and again, I did a video on we are no different in the spiritual community than any other religious order, believe it or not, which is weird to me because you would think would be more expansive. But I was having an amazing conversation with an amazing Starseed sister who's a powerhouse. I'm not going to bring up her name because she's, it's private. But let me just say this. We were laughing at the fact that we, as Starseeds, and if you've ever read any of Zachariah Stitchin's books, we as Starseeds, when we live on other planets, other dimensions, right? We have egos. I hope you guys know that. And we were talking about the contrast between this idea of, well, if your twin flame wouldn't run from you and it's not your twin flame, or things like that, right? And like your twin flame's walking on water. But I pointed out to her, I said, when you read about Enlil and Enki and Thoth, they had egos. They had monumentous egos. They just knew more, and they could alchemize, and they could manifest, and they could work with the elements, right? They were alchemists, right? Hi, Letty. It's good to see you. And and as Starseeds, we have egos. And if you guys have had any education as to your very beginnings, if you have never read about the Anunnaki, about our beginnings, how we were made, Anunnakis were perceived as gods. And this is talked about by many people, okay, many bright scholars who are spiritual scholars, okay? And so what you need, hey, how are you, Andromeda? And what you need to understand is that there are egos at play. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're on other dimensions or on other planets. You do have egos. And egos means that sometimes you're going to backstab or do some stuff. Just read Enki and Enlil. And my friend and I, Starseed friend, my beautiful buddy sister, we were laughing about that and going, wow, So let me go back to Discord. So with that said, the Discord, I would have never deleted in a million years, because I know many of you put a lot of your heart and souls and stories into it. So I would have never done that. That's not, but unfortunately, somebody who I relied on did, and so it is sad. It is sad, but we'll do another one, and I'm going to do a Patreon. But you have to understand that in the spiritual community are many bloody, wounded, broken people who think the universe owes them something and resent the universe. And that's not how it works. The universe supports you when you walk in integrity. The universe will be there for you when you walk in your power. And so it's really interesting to me that we have to keep remembering that when something negative happens to us, we don't raise our fists to God, to Source, and say, why? We say, you are you honor me. I know that you know better, and I appreciate this loss, because in this loss comes a greater gain. You got to let go of the rope that's burning you, that's giving you rope burns, right? You got to let go of that rope to grab opportunity. You cannot hold on to both hands on the rope and not, do you see what I'm saying? You got to realize that. And so what's beautiful is I did nothing, and the universe is cleaning house for me, and I'm not lifting a finger. Trust that. Like, you need to trust that energy. It's a beautiful energy. It's very beautiful. It's very wise. It's very loving. And what you might perceive as a tower moment, oh no, the discord's gone, is wow, great. Great, I don't have to deal with this person. I don't have to deal with this stuff. But just so you know, the only regret I have is for you. Many of you who wrote your hearts, your stories, and this and that. And I apologize for that, even though I had no control over that. And I apologize. I think, that was wrong. And that should not have happened. So I'm just going to say that hopefully you'll find your, you'll realize that that in every challenge is a new dawn. Every single challenge is a new dawn, an opening, a choice, a crossroad moment. And it's beautiful. Thank you, Letty. And it's beautiful. And so I'm grateful. But I wanted to let you guys know about the Discord. So we'll if you guys want a Discord, hit me up, let me know. If you don't want it and you'd rather have a Patreon, frankly, to be blunt, I think a Patreon would be better, because we could do a massive Zoom and then we could hear each other's voices. And that's what a Patreon's cool for, is that if you really want to get some nitty gritty information from not just me, by the way, just so you know, but from some amazing Starseeds sisters that I have. I mean, they are powerhouses, and I don't get to, yeah, we're going to do Patreon. Good. You don't get to hear her voice. Like, she's on live right now. Like, I see her. You know who you are, my friend. But I think she might be working. So I'm going to send an invite, which has been sent to you. But I have amazing powerhouses, high priestesses. The knowledge is, I learned from them, they learned from me. It's a beautiful synchronous conversations that we have. And so, yeah, Patreon. Okay, beautiful. We're going to do that. So if you're subscribed to me, unsubscribe. Just remember to take yourself out, so you're not, paying that fee. I appreciate your loyalty. I really do. It didn't work. Okay, let me try again. But I got to tell you that you guys realize that I'm living the challenges here at Andromeda Flame. This is my great sister, Andromeda Flame, who is an amazing starseed. You have no idea what I'm talking about, but maybe she'll share it. Maybe she won't. I don't know. But she is a voice of peace and kindness and wisdom that goes back beyond this planet's birthing and making. Hi, Andromeda.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Thank you
good.
for doing this.
Yeah. So, yeah, please. So, Andromeda. So, when we do the Patreon, we'll send us a link out through, for Zoom. And you don't have to show your face. Most of us are in our skivvies or doing whatever. I'm not a fan of, face stuff unless I do hypnotherapy past lives. That's when of course, I record, visually. Of course, I got to see a client when they're going through their past life regression. But so you don't have to worry about that. The Zoom links, I can host up to 100 people. Hopefully that'll be more than enough. I don't see it going beyond that. And we'll go from there. And I think it's really exciting, actually. Andromeda, please, what did you want to share? I didn't want to talk too much about the ins and out of the Discord, only because, it is, well, inshallah, God's will, whatever. It's all good. And again, please accept my apologies for anything that you guys have written, and poems and thoughts, and you can hopefully Patreon has a way for you guys to continue this beautiful sharing of your own wisdoms. But anyway, go ahead, shoot. You're on, my love.
Um, I think that the really important point here is that we're all here to help each other grow, to help each other learn, to educate, to discuss ideas and concepts and experiences. And it's very difficult for me to understand people who don't appreciate that kind of platform. So I think going forward, this idea of a Zoom where loads of us can talk, we can share what we're thinking, what we're feeling, particularly with things like energy shifts or how we are circumventing our healing journey, our memories of our past lives and how these apply to our current incarnation, what we can learn from this and what we can learn from each other. This is about creating communities. It's about creating soul families. It's about creating support networks, because this journey is not easy. This journey is hard. I almost swore. This journey is really...
It's all good. Don't edit yourself. Not here.
this journey is so fucking hard.
It is.
And you think you're done, and then there are more challenges, there are more tower moments. And you made a really beautiful point earlier about not resisting that, not asking why, but surrendering to the process, to our experiences, to our learning. This is what we are here to do. This is what we volunteered for. We didn't volunteer to come here to live a selfish, indulgent life or to have a Ken and Barbie style romance. Yeah. We came here to learn and to grow. This is about not only our soul's growth, but it is about the growth, learning and evolution of humanity. Yeah. So this is the community that you are creating, and it's a beautiful space of honesty and love. It's a very valuable community that you've created.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're all creating it, and it's a rounds table type of community. Rounds table. There's no caste system. There's no hierarchy. There's no. My whole thing is to totally co-create something that's even, and so that we can learn some of the wisdoms as starseed incarnations we've had on other planets. Is that that's how communities are run. Excuse me, my throat chakra. There are communities that are run just like that. Everyone has their world, but there's no hierarchy. It's very like Ubuntu, that a South African saying of we are, what matters to you matters to me. That doesn't mean that you lose your personality or individuality. It means that everyone is hyper aware that they are all co-creating a reality, and the energy has to flow in a beautiful, loving way. It's very much like the sequoia trees up in Northern California that share one singular root system. They all sync to each other. They all hear each other. Let's make sure those trees never, God bless those trees. Let's put it that way. And those communities on other planets, I've actually seen them in my meditations and visions. It's very, very incredible. And then I started to talk to people like Andromeda Flame and other people on that high level of consciousness or remembrance of their own past lives on other planets. And I got the same feedback that there were these kinds of wonderful communities that there's no infrastructure. Obviously, there's no credit card, ATM machines, political parties. There's none of that. It's what many of us are homesick for, the simplicity of just being in the state of chop wood, carry water, right?
Yeah. And what's really, what I think we find difficult as starseeds, Earth is the only planet where there's a majority of our human population who do without the basics: food, water, shelter, safety. Even the draconians, okay, who are much maligned, even the draconians don't do that to their own. Yeah. So it's really important that we bring that egalitarianism into spirituality, because there's too much hierarchy within spirituality. There are too many people who claim to know it all. And by the way, if you claim to know it all, you don't know shit, okay? But um, but this is really at our core, and this is why many of us find life on Earth so difficult, because we miss that community, the cooperation. What's interesting about that is that this inequality, this scarcity, this forced scarcity, which has attacked our root chakra, this is not the natural order of things. This is imposed. And we're here to break through that. We're here to break through that illusion of scarcity. And we're best doing that within a community, within a group of light workers who are committed, who are compassionate, who are empaths, who are awake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. You said it so beautiful. Wow. That's exactly what we miss. And we can create it here, heaven on earth, if you will, which many people will not resonate to, because there's too much cynicism that overrides that reality. But for those of you who understand and appreciate what we're trying to say here, is that that type of living, that type of thriving in ease with a community is possible. It's necessary. And there are communities right now going through that process. I'll give you an example in a minute. Stephanie, Telegram is an app where you can say whatever the hell you want, and there's absolutely no holds barred. Anything you want. In fact, Eye on Palestine does a lot of things there. There's a lot of different things that you can find on Telegram. Some is dark and some is very light. Yeah, so you just download the app. It's called Telegram. I was going to say something about, bloody hell, I forgot, about community. Oh yes, my friend. So my friend was a beautiful vagabond in a good way, meaning he did not really need money. He was born like 3 weeks after me. And we had known each other. I never met him physically. He's Scottish, D Sunshine. And I knew him for almost, I think 27 years, okay? So I saw him going to Thailand. I saw him getting his training for his yoga certification, all kinds of stuff, okay? And finally, as you get older, you want to slow down. And he had done the El Camino. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's an amazing a spiritual walk. And you don't have to be Catholic to do it. And many people go there. Shirley MacLaine did it, wrote a book about it, the El Camino. But long story short, he was an amazing, fascinating, interesting man, okay? And he ended up finding a community in Scotland. And, they had what they call mobile homes, little mobile home. Beautifully done, though, like very gypsy, beautiful. And as it was time for him to pass, because he had a heart condition, he was able to be with his community. And as he was passing, the members of his community were letting all of us know all over the world who loved him what was going on with him, so we could send healing prayers to his journey home, okay? That's the kind of community we're talking about. It's the community that has your back no matter what, and even if it's not convenient. I've had people call me at 1 o'clock in the morning, okay, because they were hurting. Do you think it was convenient? It wasn't. It's not. And I know many of you have done that too. Many of you are over givers. And the trick here and the lesson for all of us who are over givers is to overgive to overgivers. Imagine that. I mean, that's just fucking pure bliss, right? What do you think, Andromeda? Overgive to overgivers.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. My twin asked me a really important question the other day. And we were talking about the conversation went on to duality, but we were talking about co-creation. And he asked me, if I had the power to do anything, what would I do? And that's a question we should all be asking ourselves. If I had the power to do whatever I wanted to do, what would I do? and go without. You know, I actually said I would end war and hunger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he talked about how that was potentially impossible. And I argued with him that actually we cannot believe that these things are impossible. We cannot come from a place of not having faith and belief that building these communities and building an egalitarian, just society is impossible. If we believe it's impossible, it will never happen.
Yeah.
So we have to start off from a place of faith and a place of understanding that we can co-create that society that works for all inhabitants of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I mean, it's not going to happen in an instant, all right? But just as we go through a spiritual journey, Earth is going through a spiritual ascension.
Yeah.
And as it progresses, as we understand where we've come from, as we understand our place in this evolution of the planet, and as we understand our place as caregivers, as healers, as oracles, as more and more of us understand what it means to really know yourself and understand yourself, the planet will gradually go through this similar spiritual evolution into a much more just and aware society.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And so you have to decide, do you want it? Your job isn't to ask, well, how is that going to, how is this possible and how will it work itself out to become so? Your job is to claim it and to see it as if it's there. And I say that about anything of manifesting, desires, is that you always decide what you want, which is sometimes quite difficult because there are crossroad moments that are very painful on us. They're quite painful, actually. But once you have made a decision as to what you want, you claim it. You don't worry about how it's going to be presented to you. Let the universe do its magic. That's it. That's your job. Claim it, see it, own it, smell it, feel it, be there. And so this idea that this planet cannot have a concept where we no longer live under this concept of normal, of wars and famine, and these very hierarchical powers that have their hands around our throats, many of us, that doesn't have to continue, and it doesn't, and it won't. The energy fluctuates. I now feel sad, triggered, alone. I'm just trying not to go back to the old ways. Just don't. The bridges behind you, Yin, the bridges are collapsing behind you. There is no going back. You would have to do a massive regression. Okay, that means the bridges have collapsed. That means they're giving me this visual of having to now climb down the mountains by your own force. And so if you look back and you see the bridges have collapsed, there is only one road forward, and that's the universe ushering you through. It's kind of like your dog. Remember your dog, the Andromeda, just herding you on? You're being herded on. I just saw that. And I'm going to give you a very famous story of Alexander the Great, who was on the beaches of Persia, somewhere, I don't know where exactly. But anyway, they had ships, right? And in the night, he had his men burn, a few of his men, his key men, burn the ships. And when his men on land saw the burning ships, the message was clear. That's where the saying, burning your ships, comes from. And so the message he gave his men was, we're not going home. We have no way back. We have to win Persia. So you have to have this innate power within you that says, there is no plan B. This is the plan. Now, every blue moon, and it does occur, where the wall will be there. It'll be an invisible wall, and you'll try to bounce, and it'll bounce you back on the ground. At that point, you sit in silence, and you ask the universe to guide you. You go within. You don't try to control 3D. You go within to get your downloads, and you will be divinely guided. One or two things will happen. Typically, when they bounce you out of a path, You're not ready at that moment for the path to be open. I know that for a fact. Quite often you have to do a couple steps into self-realization, a couple things you need to purge within yourself, maybe a limiting belief, or clearing up some soul contract. I kid you not, soul contracts. You go back out for that goal, boom. It's like there was never a wall. You see, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm visualizing the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the important things to understand is that we're given things that we don't necessarily feel ready for, but also things that we can learn from, that we can cope with, and that we can derive growth from. Um, the walls of the soul contract. I mean, this is a misunderstanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the Akashic records are not fixed. Just
Yeah.
as energy is dynamic, the Akashic records are also dynamic.
Yeah.
Every thought we have, every action that we do, every minute of sleep that we have, the Akashic records are changing.
Yeah.
And therefore, the idea of changing soul contracts shouldn't be it should be something that we understand easily once we understand that the Akashic records are not fixed.
Yeah.
And we should also not feel defeated by the soul contracts. We hear a lot of people, particularly on the twin flame journey, talking about soul contracts as if it's a fait accompli.
Yeah.
But it is not. Just as we have the power to co-create our own reality, we can also recreate our soul contracts.
Right. That's right.
And
That's
as long
right.
as it's not harming anybody in the process or attempting to interfere with anyone's free will, there is no issue.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so when you go through this journey and you feel like you're being blocked, sit in silence and go within. Ask yourself why. You would think that would going back to the Discord, just to again reiterate that energy, that this would be a massive loss. And in some sense, I know that for some of you it could be, but I don't want you to despair. This is not the end. We're being asked to up our game, and we're being asked to refine the way we communicate with each other, probably more closely. More, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that there was some frustration for people like posting something and then nothing, no one, because, but I think if we did Telegram and Patreon, I think you guys would be much more closely involved with each other in real time. You know what I mean? And so and I needed to bring that up because I know some people are coming on. Does anybody have any questions in terms of the sadness that you're feeling, Yen, and this being alone? Many of us have been put in the alone box for like 2-3 years. And I forgot where I read this. I wish I could remember so I could give credit, but there are some of us, actually many of us, but some of us will go through cycles where we'll have 2 to 3 years of being alone, okay? To introspect, it's like a molting period, right? You're molting the old self. And it's almost like an initiation into the ancient shamanic ways of going to the cave and living in the forest alone. In a way, you're living in the forest alone for a little while, and it can be quite daunting, because you miss a human connection. But the human connection that surrounds you is not to a vibration that matches. That's not to say there's not a, comment on dit, a caste system in spirituality. It's just, I'm a vegetarian, you're not. It doesn't mean that you're better or I'm better than you. It just means there's a different vibration of needs for food, for example. So but when you go through this alone time and yet you have people around you and you still feel alone, you're being asked to redefine your needs in community, in friendships, and even maybe pushing the envelope with your family members to see if they can grow with you to some level of consciousness. Or you have to more or less be compassionate and realize that your family, or there's certain friend, like I know I was telling a girlfriend of mine, I said, there's certain girlfriends where they're the only conversation is getting your nails done. And I'm not being funny here. getting your nails done and having lunch, and there's no real depth in conversation. And sometimes we need that, right? And for some of you guys, it's like, just talking about football and that's it. The guy will never, that friend of yours will never talk about spirituality, ascension, reincarnation. That's never going to come out of that friend's mouth. However, they're loyal, they're loving, they're good people. And so it's kind of like brain candy. You kind of need it, but they're loving. That doesn't mean you throw them to the curb because they're not to your level of consciousness. That's like bollocks, right?
Yeah, I totally agree that there's too much talk in the spiritual community about, like, yes, we should be shedding our skin. Okay, as you were saying that, I was getting a spider, right? So a spider growing. As spiders grow, they shed their skin, and it's a really difficult process for them. And some of them even lose limbs, which eventually grow back. But they lose parts of themselves so that they can become the new. They can become stronger, they can become more able, more grown.
Right.
But there's a lot of talk in the spiritual community about leaving people behind, and I agree with you. We don't necessarily need to leave people behind who don't vibe with us on a spiritual level, because sometimes we just need a bit of frivolity. Now,
Yeah.
having spiritual conversations all day, every day, when you're at a certain part of the journey, particularly when you've just come out of the hermit phase, right, which a lot of us go through, and we go through that phase so that we can go within, so we can hear our own voice, so that we can get to know ourselves. That it's actually a really important time for many of us.
Yeah.
But when we come out of that, sometimes it's nice just to hear people talking nonsense. Right? It gives
Yeah.
it gives your brain and your system
Yeah.
a bit of respite from the heavy spiritual journey, because when you're at that stage of intense growth, of hermiting, maybe it's caused by twin flame separation or whatever, but when you're going through that phase, it's hard and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And going out and just looking at somebody who the most important thing that they can do is get their hair done and get their nails done, and you think, okay, well, that's nice. It's not for me, but that's nice.
Yeah, and it's funny too because you and I were talking about movies we love, which are definitely not chick flicks,
Yeah,
but because we love the dialogue and the irreverence.
yeah,
Um, and we were having a great time sharing links about these movies, so my point is, I think some of us, some of you, some of us, okay, are being too hard on your journey. Okay, you need brain candy. Okay, can you hear me, Andromeda? I want to make sure you're here.
I'm here.
Okay. You need brain candy. You need cotton candy moments. We all do. You need like to, oh my God, the unicorn is, you need to do stuff like that because it can be, it's a very intense thing. Now, let me also preface this with because I'm going to go a little heavy with you guys. There are a lot of souls that are being exposed to highly esoteric things. And they're freaking the fuck out, going, I can't do this. I've only been awakened for 2 years. I can't. Sweetie pies, let me tell you, my lovely starseed brothers and sisters, if you're being exposed to heavy, intense, esoteric things, it is in front of you because it's time to stretch. You have to stretch. Does that make sense? Because if it was not being put in front of you, how many people do we see don't even fathom the idea of reincarnation? They think it's absurd, right? How many? Tons, millions, hundreds of millions, a few billion, okay, don't believe in reincarnation, for example. And that's just the basic foundational belief system, right? Thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate that. I really do. I love feathers. But so when you are put in front of something that makes you uncomfortable, now there's two sets of uncomfortable. There's a creepy guy or a creepy chick doing weird thing. That's not normal and that's not to be accepted. Let's not confuse shit. Not that you would, but just in case. And then, because you're not asked by the universe to fucking, comment on dit, tolerate crap like that. No, let's talk about this. Suddenly, you're being asked to wrap your head around someone who has died early, like my husband. He died at 58, okay? And suddenly, it was not expected. It was not from disease, okay? Or somebody younger, much younger, or what's going on in different parts of the world, or you're being confronted with something that frightens you, and what's happening to you is you're being pushed purposely into something that's uncomfortable to make you grow. And the worst thing you can do at that moment is to run like hell into regression, because then unfortunately the portals of your growth now close, not because you're being punished, just don't get me wrong. It's because the universe sees that you've rejected this opportunity and you have free will. You have free will. So because you have free will, right, the universe never disrespects your free will. That will never happen to you. You're never going to be forced into nothing. I'm not kidding. But you need to pause and realize that you're being asked to do something. You're being honored with something that's stretching your comfort zone for a reason. So sit silently. Maybe chop wood, carry water for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, but make it your intention as you sit with it to say to the universe, I want to walk through this portal of transformation. It's making me scared, but I want to understand this, and my brain can't wrap it. It doesn't have the bandwidth. Can you upgrade me with new light codes so that I could actually absorb this, so I can digest this information? Does that make sense, guys? What do you think, Andromeda?
This is really important. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable on a spiritual journey. And if you are struggling with, the idea of, should I be uncomfortable or not? In other words, if you're concerned that there may be predatory behavior, because there is predatory behavior within the spiritual community as well. And the way to develop your discernment is through chakra work. Okay, if you have a functioning chakra system, an open heart, a good energy flow right from the root up to the crown, then you're going to be able to discern what is corrupted, what is predatory, and what is genuine, and what you should be comfortably uncomfortable with. Because this journey isn't love and light. I mean, that phrase just pisses me off at this stage. It's not love and light. It's hard work.
Exactly.
It,
I get every time somebody says love and light, it usually comes from someone. I'm sorry, guys. This is me, okay? I'm sorry. I feel like they're full of shit, because that is bubblegum candy, and we definitely need it. Don't get here and there. You want chocolate in your diet. You don't want to just, but there's something about it that's so disingenuous. It's like, it's like, come up with your own line, okay? Come up with something else. Like, may abundance follow you wherever you go. May love smile upon you. May love always follow you with wings of power, whatever. But I would rather hear somebody actually construct their own final little, but love and light just chokes me. I'm like, and I know that sounds really like judgmental, but honestly, I've attached that line to certain people. It's kind of like the handshake. Have you ever, because I love shaking hands. If I get the wet sock handshake, I'm like, I don't know.
I hear you. It's like you want like a warm, welcoming handshake, not a kind of a limp fish, right?
Exactly. Or bloody hell, like a nice hug, like a bear, like, give me a hug. Stop that. We're beyond the handshake, right? Yeah. I would love that from somebody, but yeah, so it's, many of you are here, 31 people are here. God bless you all. And we're all here to win, right? And we want to win for the collective, and we want us to be in a place of effortless abundance, which is within our fingertip reach. We can actually feel the frequency. And I'm going to tell you something that I read somewhere, and I'm paraphrasing it because I can't see it and read it verbatim without having the live go blank. So just bear with me. It says the devil doesn't bother someone walking in sin. It only bothers you when you're rising. Did you hear that? So where many of us are getting our asses kicked. The energy, somebody mentioned that many of us are getting our asses kicked, and her January was bad. My January was fucking from hell. So I get it. I mean, talk about purging a lot of people. So go ahead, Andromeda. I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, that again is it's another important point. I know I keep saying that, but it's, you know, the spiritual attacks
Yeah.
that we've been on. You don't get attacked if you're you don't get attacked if you're not ascending. Okay,
Right.
when you ascend, you become visible.
That's
You
right.
become ripe for attack. The stronger you are and the greater your potential, the more you will be attacked. And again, beating that drum of chakra work. But you do your daily chakra work and you're protected. Your energy body expands, your energy body becomes stronger, you become less susceptible to attacks. When you reach a certain level of ascension, the attacks drop off because
Yeah.
they can't reach you. Because you've learned that you can only be attacked by things that you believe can harm you, really.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, again, that this quote about the devil doesn't attack those walking in sin. Because why would a like demonic entity, why would a demonic entity choose to attack someone that is doing their work?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Right.
They they choose to attack the light workers. They choose to attack those with a pure heart.
Absolutely.
Um, and it's been, I mean, it's been wild uh,
Yeah.
recently, but you know, this is one of the reasons the masculines in particular are vulnerable
Yeah.
to attacks, because they're not, a lot of them are not doing the spiritual work because they've been so attacked because they're being attacked in the 3D. So because they don't have that open heart, because they don't have that strong energy body, because they don't have that strong connection to themselves,
Yeah.
they are therefore vulnerable to attack. So yeah, spiritual hygiene is really important. Saging,
Yes.
gratitude, chakra work
Yeah.
every single day without fail.
Yeah, she's right. And gratitude means things like this. And I actually experienced that, but I was genuinely happy I got fired. Okay. Just so it wasn't like I had to make up the gratitude. I fucking was relieved. But my point is, if you get fired, can I tell you something you may want to, or something happens with money? And sometimes you got to understand the frequency of money is a weird, it's a weird energy because it's a neutral energy. So it's almost like tofu money. It's like I just can't fuck. They just, when I talk, sometimes you got to understand that I'm not talking, I'm getting downloads. Holy fuck. And if you guys have ever had tofu, if you ever cooked it, let me just preface, you know the shit you put on it to give it flavor, right? So tofu is like money. It's whatever you put into it. It's making me laugh my ass off. I've never heard that before.
You need to marinate
Tofu's
some
like
money.
money. It's like a fucking t-shirt. Anyway, so adding levity to this energy of money, which most of us are driven by lack of it, and it's not, we're not being punished. It's not your fault. You didn't fuck up. We're just trying to learn. We're trying to become alchemists again, which is our true actual default self, right? So with that, money is not the root of all evil, is the root of whatever the hell you're thinking about within yourself. That's it's, and it's fucked up because believe me, I'm not rolling in money. Okay, I don't have a $500,000 house. I'm not a cult. I don't have things like that. If I did, I would have, you know. But what makes me laugh, it's killing, is the fact that we are being asked to become better than our original version, because now, see, we took the travail of journeying downward, scaling ourselves down from a 14 dimension. I mean, we went down the staircase to really become more empowered with deep, wonderful knowledge of self through experiences. In other words, There's an old saying, wherever you go, there you are. Bullshit. Wherever you go, there is a new version of yourself. If I was in China right now, I would not be the Tony in California. If I was in Tibet, if I was in India, or trekking on a bus in Hong Kong, I would not be the Tony today. There would be a new version emerging for needs to respect the culture I'm with, eating foods that are, that culturally prevalent, hearing and being not triggered, but triggered to memories probably of past lives through languages, right? Arabic, Chinese, French, whatever, Swedish, and that could trigger a somatic memory within myself, right? I'm using me as
Yeah.
an example, okay? Because I don't want to put this on you, because this is my experiences. And so you've got to kind of see it for what it is. But so when we are having money problems, the ebb and flows, we know it's family lineage. Like my father, I'll share this with you. My father was an amazing alchemist, and this is in the 70s, and he could manifest like, I don't know, I'm not joking when I say like $250,000. Okay, today that's millions. Out of nowhere. I'm not joking. Out of nowhere. Okay. And I could, when we have a Zoom and I'll get more into it as to what I mean by that. But suffice it to say, but he was an alchemist, but then there must have been something in him that would make it crash. In other words, suddenly it would be gone. And then it would take another two, and then we'd be back. So that up and down, that violent up and down for me is still something I'm working through regarding money. What is yours? What is your up and down? What was created in your family lineage? Does that make sense? And that's what we're being asked to shed, because we are alchemists. It is our default self. That's one of our many skill sets. And we've forgotten it over the degradation of these incarnations on planet Earth, when we were serfs and foot soldiers and midwives, and we were never really safe, right? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just bringing me back to the thought about the Matrix and the organized religions, which have been used for, well, millennia now to disempower us, to make us believe that we don't have the power to break free from these confines of these financial systems, etc. I really liked your analogy of tofu money, because the money is a neutral energy, but the energy that is infused, or the marinade, if you like, of the tofu is what creates the energy around it. So the large banks, the global financial institutions, which are not interested in the good of all,
Yeah.
which are there to separate us. When
Yeah.
when when you get to that consciousness that we're all connected, we are all fractals of source,
Yes.
you start to realize that actually if we are all fractals of the same energetic source, we can therefore become united and co-create a much better world. But religion, money, wars, scarcity, all of these things are used to disempower and divide us.
Yeah.
This is what we need to break free from. If we're able to see the matrix for what it is, we become free in our minds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. Very beautiful. Does anybody have any comments? My money thing too that we did on the Zoom. Is it true that when the masculine energy with us is unbalanced, we lack the financial? No, it's much more complex, because it's not a masculine thing. It's an energy thing. And I think that sometimes we get too, we simplify things about money. And because the concept of the masculine is an active, action-driven force of energy, right? And being in your masculine means that you're going to be able to create this, that, and the other, right? Well, but there are alpha males that personify masculinity on steroids, like quite literally and figuratively. But the thing is, they're still not able to master money. So it's much more than that. It's something else that it's shaming. It's self-shaming. It's in a way self-harming, allowing the monkey voice, monkey mind to run amok in your head, and to basically destroy your mind. And you thinking that that is just how it is. It isn't. When you read the Surrender Experiment, Michael Singer talks about how the first thing he was a young, I think he had his master's, he was a young hippie dude, and he was like sitting there going, what the fuck is this? Well, what is this voice? What is this voice? His whole meaning for him was to understand what this voice was and how he could control the voice or retrain the voice or whatever, because it was harming him. Okay. And so he worked on that. And the book, The Surrender Experiment, is really amazing because he actually is a billionaire. I tell a lot of my clients to read The Surrender Experiment and to give it to their 3D masculine twin or beloved, whatever, high level soulmate, because greed is good, okay, in the world we live in and has been. When that came out in Wall Street in the 1980s, greed is good. Wow. And at the same time in the 80s, there was a lifestyles of the rich and famous, and then keeping up with the Kardashians. When you look at this insane fever for things, like things. Now, I understand that that's normal when you're in your early 20s. I'm going to say normal because what the hell, I'm not going to, but there's a point where you would never shell out $1,000 on a handbag, okay? You'd probably get yourself a shaman drum. I'm not saying you wouldn't shell out $1,000 for something, but your priority is going to be more like a yoga retreat. Just saying, this shit's going to, so what you want to do is look at money as one of our issues throughout our incarnations on this planet, because the meek shall inherit the earth. I'm just getting all these sayings, and all of that was happening, and it was branded in our I won't say soul, I won't say that, but are some scars throughout these incarnations, our impressions, as we grabbed more and more impressions from each life into the next life, And so when you read the Surrender Experiment, he's chasing peace of mind. And he's doing it through meditation. And whenever somebody comes to him and says, can you do, this is the most famous story of it all, actually. It's the one where they say, can you help us code medical software? We're having problems. And he's like, oh God, I really don't want to do that. I really just, damn it. I don't want to. Okay, fine, I'll do it. And because everything his ego said not to do, he would do. Because he realized it was his monkey mind making him do things out of fear, out of anger, out of greed, out of whatever, right? So when people came to him and said, he would say yes. He would go completely against that inner voice because he could not trust it, because it was based on the monkey mind, the false ego. And the medical software he coded is in the Smithsonian Institute. It was the first ever. The man's a billionaire. So when I talk to my clients, I go, money chased him. He never chased money. Never once did he chase money. Now, that can be difficult if you're late on the rent and you're trying to get loans. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to judge you. But there's a point where we all have to, and this goes with me, is we all have to like sit and go, okay, let me not panic. Let me go into surrender. Let me trust this moment. Let me erase all of the monkey mind concept of being late on the rent, or I've lost my job, or I just found out my person cheated on me, or whatever the hell it could be, right? Or someone I love died suddenly. And let me sit within myself for a while. And let me go and read these books on Audible. That's why I tell people, please read these on Audible, because I want to brainwash you. And they're like, I hear silence. No, seriously, you want to wash your brain from all the rhetoric from this life and and you want to fill it with new things. You want to wash your brain and feed it with beautiful, high vibrational content. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Everything you've said there, every point you made, every example you gave was an attack on the root chakra.
Yeah.
Every single one. Our sense of safety, our sense of security, our basic needs. When these are threatened, the root chakra is damaged. And therefore we can't get that energy flow. We can't have an open third eye or crown chakra, which everybody wants. But very few people are willing to do the work to get there. But this this is something which, yes, it affects the feminines, but I do think it affects the masculines in society more, because we have been told that the masculines have to provide security, when actually us feminines can do that as well. We can provide our own security, but feeling secure in the 3D is very different from harnessing that sense of safety that comes from a functioning root chakra, feeling grounded, feeling connected to Gaia, having faith that Gaia will not let you down.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing, and taking these attacks and understanding what they are and where they come from, and it's much easier to bat them away
Yeah.
when you do that. And it is, you're right. I mean, you know, it's it's very difficult when you're, when you're on your arse, as we say, on this side of the Atlantic, or
Yeah.
ass, as you
I
say
love
in
it. I love it. I
America.
love it. I
But
hear you.
it's
Yeah.
it's very different when you're sleeping in your car, or you're working, you're living paycheck to paycheck,
Yep. Yep.
where you cannot, because rents are high, because taxes are high, because
Yeah.
transport costs are high, and therefore feeling that sense of safety, it has to come from within. We cannot rely on the matrix. We cannot rely on our employers or society to give us that sense of safety.
Right. That's right.
And when you have a spiritual community, a soul family,
Yeah.
you're always going to have that safety. You're always going to have that safety net.
You know, it's funny. It's beautiful. I love how you express these very esoteric ideas on levels that are very easily digestible. And so you're being. Before I move on, if you guys want to understand root chakra, I mean all chakras, Andromeda Flame, you need to follow her because she's doing in depth. She's been doing in depth videos on each chakra. So I would suggest you go and follow her, okay? Because she's fantastic. But moving on, I wanted to bring, they just showed me The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, okay? And I'm going to say something to you because I need you guys to understand the unbelievable power that we have as the one, okay? They're giving me a couple things I need to talk to you about. So when The Rock went on stage, apparently from some wrestling match, which is I think it's $1 trillion industry by now, believe it or not. But anyway, with what happened with Maui and all of that, and the O debacle, oxygen debacle. I hope you know what I'm saying in code word. A lot of people were pissed the fuck off, and rightly so. It was a moment of let them eat cake moment. They were asking for money. People that have $800 million, one person, the other person having billions of dollars, right? While the average person is living paycheck. Average person is one paycheck away from a tent, okay? That's the truth. And it's been like that for years. Don't think it's new, but the numbers have grown exponentially since COVID. So he was booed. And you could see that I'll give him credit for one thing. He kept his shit together. He did not show his emotions, and yet I could see vulnerability in his eyes. He was in shock. He took the fact that he was loved with entitlement. And I know this for a fact because I'm a big fan of Vin Diesel, huge fan. And if you've noticed, he's gone into the shadows. And one day I'll tell you what my feelings are about that. And I love Vin Diesel. Okay, familia. He's all about familia. And when he went on the Fast and the Furious movie and they were having a fight. Now, Vin Diesel has worked with people from all over the world with absolutely no incident I ever heard of. But when I saw The Rock walk into the movie and creating problems and wanting to take over Fast and Furious from Vin Diesel, I was like, whoa, he's a piece of, work, okay? So he actually just put out a video saying that he understood how he didn't understand that people living paycheck to paycheck and to ask for money was wrong because after all they have the money. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Wow, no shit. But you know what? It's too late. And there are a couple movements happening right now in the consciousness of many of you. I'm not sure how aware you are of it, but I can tell you that if you're aware of it in yourself, you're not alone. Here's one. We don't give a shit about celebrities anymore. I'm more interested in people like Andromeda Flame. I'm more interested in people like you and your content. I'm fascinated by what you have to say. I don't give one F what Kim Kardashian is wearing. I don't give one F about any of these people. And that includes O, because O would say quite often in her shows. That's when I stopped watching her show 20 years ago. Money doesn't bring happiness. No, it sure in the hell doesn't, chick. But if you need money to save someone who has leukemia, and because your insurance has got a limit, a cap, you can actually do, treatments that can save them. So money gives you choices, and it can bring you happiness, actually, because it gives you choices to help people you love. Do you understand? So there's been a shaming that's been very a part of an indoctrination for centuries, but in particular in the last, say, 50 years. And so when he went on stage, he was completely booed the whole time. It would not stop. He was in shock. And then he did a video to actually apologize, but the comments were like, too late, man, and all of that. Because he has the power. There's a rich man, a very rich millionaire, who has just donated, I think, something like $50 million. Honestly, man, I wish sometimes I would hold on to, but there's just so much good out there. It's amazing. That I can't keep track. But this man has invested millions to build a community for the homeless. I'm just saying, yeah, that's what money's for. Money is not the root of all evil. And money does bring happiness, because money is about to give, has given this beautiful man who's got all this money. He could say, I want more, I want more, I want more. There's always more. No, he's probably worth, I don't know, let's say, I'm going to say $500 million, whatever. But you see all these other guys just tracking more into the trillions, right? But he's decided to take 50 million and create beautiful tiny homes for homeless people. Tell me how that doesn't bring happiness to other people. Yes, it does. So what we're finding, and there's a trend now where celebrities no longer matter to us. We don't care. You know who I love? Vanessa Redgrave, because she was saying things that blackballed her back in the 70s about what was happening to the Palestinian people. Okay, I love people who were saying things when it was not popular, when it actually was bringing their career down to their careers to damn near crickets. Okay, for quite some time for her. Okay, so what's happening is that you need to understand you have power. You have massive power. You're powerful as an individual because people like me are following you and we're interested in what you're saying. And you're powerful because as a voice booing them off the stage, we are telling them, you don't matter to me. You don't matter, whatever, you don't matter anymore. What matters is that we will create our communities. We will protect each other. We will love each other. We don't need your opinions. We don't need you. And I remember having a conversation with a starseed. I'm going to let you jump in. I'm sorry. A starseed. And I said to her, no matter what you'll say about the robber barons, the barons, the train barons, the oil barons of the late 1800s, early 1900s, okay, early, I'll give them credit on one thing. They were building hospitals, libraries. They were buying art, opening museums for people like us. They had a sense of responsibility of community, even though they were multi-millionaires. I don't see that anymore. Maui should have been rebuilt by those people. It should have been commitment to them. Don't you agree? I don't know if you agree, but I think that there's enough money to rebuild and just let everyone have their land back and so forth. This is purposely, it's like, oh, well, it's not my responsibility, like bootstrap theory. It's like, no. That's not what money's for. When you have that kind of money, it's a responsibility to the collective. You're not given billions to hoard it. You're not a hoarder, the old man or the old woman with 120 cats and trash everywhere. Well, look at that image and now turn it into trillions or billions. It's the same mentality. It's just a different visual, but it's the same mentality. What do you think, Andromeda?
It's the bootstrap theory or trickle down economics, whatever you want to call it, is a lie. You are talking about people who are hoarding billions of dollars, and these people are not, they're not interested in helping. Not all of them. Some of them are. This whole, I've never watched you know, the housewives of wherever or the Kardashians of whatever. I've never watched that. But wouldn't it be great if there were not celebrities, I can't stand that word, but people, artists, musicians, people who talk about meditation, people who really know their shit when it comes to philosophy and spirituality. If these were the new celebrities, wouldn't that be a wonderful world
Oh my God.
where, you
Yeah.
know, where, you know, how many, you know, how much kind of how much collagen you've had injected into your face or how much makeup you wear or how much you've spent on your dress or your handbag didn't matter. What
Yeah.
mattered was the content of your character and
Yeah.
the size and purity of your heart.
Yeah.
This is a much more beautiful, much more you know, functional society. Somebody just said Jim Carrey. Yeah, well, he's interesting because he's kind of fallen out of the spotlight as well and
Yeah.
is marginalized. There are some, you know, wonderful actors, wonderful artists
Yeah.
who use their platforms, who use their voice for good,
Yeah.
but they are few and far between. Our society has become obsessed with, as you said, stuff
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff that we don't need. You know, what does every human being need? Every human being needs somewhere to somewhere to rest,
Yeah.
right? Somewhere to rest that is secure and isn't going to be taken away from them. Something to eat, fresh water, intellectual stimulation,
Yeah.
love. That's
Yeah.
what human beings need. Human beings do not need, you know, £17,000 handbags
Yeah. It's
uh, and shoes with red soles, you know.
exactly, exactly. Thank you. I know exactly. I just saw you walking away. um, it's exactly true. And I think that what's happening is that we are not saying no beauty. Yeah, Angelina woke up. It was shocking to see her wake up. I didn't see it coming with her saying, I thought the UN was this and that, and I didn't know it was that and this. That was a shock to me. Mel Gibson has been a firecracker for years. And unfortunately, he was being handled by the wrong people. I can tell because he's on. I'm not going to go into that. Forget it. But the point is, this is passion. Ferocious passion scares people, but quite often it takes a ferocity of passion to create things like. If you have never seen The Passion of the Christ, I'm not Catholic, folks. I watched it twice. I cried like a baby. Okay. So beautifully done. You get the frequency of the ancient language, Latin, which is still taught, but Aramaic, most importantly Aramaic, which is very interesting. And it takes a ferocity to create a movie like Braveheart, a ferocity of passion. And it scares people. If you've ever seen the first scene of Lethal Weapon 1 with Mel Gibson, and his eyes flash, this incredible flash of blue, you see it in Braveheart, where you see this intense lion, I mean, like pouncing out of his eyes. And it scares people, it scares the shit out of people. And he shoots from the hip. He doesn't fucking pull punches. And it's scared, that kind of raw honesty I fucking admire. I aspire to that. To be honest, obeyances to the man. I think he was also under the cultish grasp of Hollywood, and he said that. He has said that. You know, when you look at, I'm trying to think of another. Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel is totally different, completely different energy. Where he was all about family, 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 familia, because he was trying to get the humans to bond. He would go to South America and do drive, like drive through certain countries of South America, and he knows Spanish. I think his wife is Latina, and he was doing all of this work. He wasn't just sitting, smoking a cigar, living in his mansion on an island. There was a series of movies he wanted to make. Hannibal. It was about Hannibal, the great Carthaginian general. I was so excited. I couldn't wait. And he was so excited. He was talking about it. And he was going to do it in Latin and ancient Phoenician language. I was so excited. And it died out. And what's sad about Hollywood is that they have you. They own you, you know? And it's real. And this would have been an amazing project for him to birth. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's to be. One of the things I saw him do, and I remember showing the picture to my twin going, holy shit, I think the beginning's about to end for him. To begin. The end is about to begin. And it was a picture of him pointing to the sky with chemtrails. And I went, oh shit. Ooh, oops. And he's like crouched and he's pointing up. He's saying, the post said nothing. It said nothing. If you knew, you knew. And I saw the domino effect of that picture. It was unbelievable. So, and then Rock basically is stealing his stuff. So I'm saying there are fights within the elite, in the celebrity, movie star crap. There is fighting in the elite, the high 1%. I can tell you that, because if we're having issues in our spiritual community, don't think that the elite aren't actually having an arm wrestle who's going to hold the final golden key. And the funny part is they're going to lose the key. And I'm being shown the key is somehow flipped up in the air, and it actually lands on the feet of the many. In other words, a power shift is happening, and it's beautiful. And you have to love who you are and realize how powerful you are. And you're going to have to own it now. We don't have time for you to be humble, but be powerful. You can be Yeshua. You can be Mary Magdalena. Like, find someone who you can use as an archetypal guide of behavior, of transcending your own egoic framework of I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, I need all my ducks in a row. And move your energy into, I got this. I'm a powerful being. I'm not saying that because I'm a jerk. I'm saying that because to be otherwise and to denigrate my power is not good for me, but most importantly, not good for the collective. I am who I am. That is enough. Yes. Braveheart was one of my favorite movies ever and was so inspirational to me for years. Me too. Me too. It was an amazing movie. What do you have to say? I want to start wrapping it up. What are your thoughts?
It's really interesting you brought up the Passion of the Christ, because it's mostly done in Aramaic, which is a beautiful musical language. And he chose a guy who looks Middle Eastern. We don't get the what I've heard some people call the Swedish Jesus, right? With the blonde hair and blue eyes, because Yeshua was a Middle Eastern man, right, with dark skin and brown eyes and dark hair, and Mel Gibson chose what's his name, Jim something.
Cavell, I think
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
yeah, who does look Middle Eastern. But it's, moving away from Hollywood, there's some fantastic art. I live in London. I'm really fortunate to live in London because there's some fantastic art. There's an American composer called Philip Glass, who is a minimalist composer, but he wrote an opera about Gandhi, which is written in Sanskrit.
That's awesome.
The
Oh my God.
libretto, yeah, the libretto is in Sanskrit. And then, the Royal Ballet has been doing new productions about the plight of refugees. So this is seeping, art has always been an incredible voice for us. It defines very much what makes us human because it speaks to our heart and our soul in a way, ballet and opera, as well as movies, poetry, literature, all of these things speak to our heart and our soul. And it really shows us what it means to be truly alive. Being truly alive is not owning stuff and owning the car and owning the house and having a fantastic wardrobe and having, perfect skin and no grey hairs. That's not what being alive is about. Being alive is about knowing who you are, speaking and living your truth, being authentic to your core, to your soul purpose, whatever that means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to be setting up a Patreon, okay? And I will put it up on my link tree, but I'll also announce it on a post. Everything happens for the best. And it is always the darkest before the dawn. Always, 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 always. This is not just a saying, it's an actual fact. And so we are in the darkest. We're actually entering the darkest part of, before the dawn comes. Believe me, we're still walking towards it, just to be clear. And it's going to get even a little bit more challenging. I have no doubt. You're going to have to really get serious about your mantras, about working on your chakras every day. Like Andromeda is a huge advocate, as I am, but I mean, she, on the power of the importance of your chakras. It's not, you can never overstate. I have clients who say, yeah, I meditate. I go, well, did you work on your chakras? No, I'm just meditating. I don't understand. It's like saying, well, I just washed one side of my body, but yeah, not the other. It doesn't make sense to me. Okay. You have to take it seriously. And it's a daily practice. I'm sure you guys bathe every day. I'm sure you do. I'm sure if you're sick, sometimes you can't. You're like, oh shit, I'm too tired. I'm the fever, But or you're just too tired. You don't care. But for the most part, let's assume we all bathe every day. It is no different, okay, than working on your chakras every day. Okay? If you want discernment, if you want the least amount of corrupted downloads, okay? You want clear downloads, chakra work, right? Sarah, chakra. It's always, I mean, if you didn't meditate, but you worked on your chakra, here, I'll throw it to you a different way. If you actually worked on your chakras every day, which takes less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and you actually didn't meditate, you'd actually, if I were to choose one, I'd say go do your chakras. Because the meditation, you might be able to get away with not doing it for 1 or 2 days, but you don't go past 3. I'll tell you that. I'm warning you. Don't go past 3. However, if that was the case, it would be chakra work. Do you agree?
Totally agree. And Cassidy Kane, who does a lot of guided meditations for Twin Flames. Every single meditation starts with a cleanse of your chakras. Every single meditation.
Yeah.
You can't you can't grow spiritually. You can't get those downloads. You can't heal your body and your soul and your inner child without working on your chakras. And it's every chakra every day. Yes, you can concentrate on one or more if you feel that they're, dull or not spinning, or you're getting certain symptoms or certain pains, or you've had recent heartbreak. Yes, of course you can concentrate on them, but it's every chakra every day. And it's the 9 somatic chakras because we're beyond the 7 now.
Yeah, exactly. When you say spiritual bath, you mean like, because some people actually think that taking a bath and putting intention in it, like literally like a salt bath or whatever, is no. Please take this verbatim, just in case I'm misunderstanding you. Just as, if I'm misunderstanding what you mean by spiritual bath, I apologize. But it is something that you do. It's the wheels, okay? It's, what is Joe Dispenza? He calls them energetic wheels. That's what I think. I think I'm paraphrasing him. Yeah, energy wheels. That's what he calls them. Even he talks about it. So we can't be wrong on that. I'll tell you that. Anyway, so I want to thank you all for being here. I have to go. I've got a lot to do today. I've got a client. I've got to do a reading on it. Just on a side note, please don't get scammed. I'm noticing still that people are posing at me and approaching you guys. And yes, clearing the chakras is like a spiritual bath. Yes, thank you for clarifying. Yes, I agree with you. But when you say that, see, that's why words are like, just say clean your chakras, then that's it. But yes, I hear what you're saying. So don't get ripped off. I will never contact you directly on TikTok and ask you for a reading. Okay, I will never offer you. If you want a reading with me, you know what to do, or I hope you know what to do. If you want a hypnotherapy past life regression with me, all you have to do is contact me on my website. It's on my profile. It's on my link tree. You just do it. And I will call you. I don't care where you are in the world. Just make sure you have a WhatsApp number. But I will. Please don't get ripped off. It would hurt. It would hurt my soul if you got ripped off. Okay. Just don't do it. Okay. Just be smart. Many are posing as other content creators, And it's a real problem. Okay, there's a lot of benefits to TikTok, but that's its shadows. Is that? Thank you both. Amazing live. Thank you. So I will upload this live with your permission, Andromeda Flame, up onto my YouTube page, which is Sacred Intimacy Tarot. It's the same. You can go on my profile link tree, and the YouTube link will be there. You may want to check out, you may want to follow me on YouTube, honestly, because a lot of these lives that you're missing, think of it as a Spotify, or, you know, they're there, and you can listen to them while you're doing your dishes and so forth, or whatever, right? And doing your walk. So follow me on YouTube. I will announce when we have, I will see about Discord, but really my thing is Patreon, because what it will ensure is that those of you who really want the content will be there. It will be a minimal fee, you know, it'll be like, you know, $5.99. And then I'll have another one. I'll go right to 108. And 108 is what I offer for readings and for spiritual coaching. It's $108. And the $108 would get you a couple, like one question per month, that a text question where you say, is this going to happen? And I would just do a quick one answer question on that, and I would do it only because you're my client. Okay, so I would know you, and I would know how to tap into your energy like that. But so that's what I'm going to offer. And we're going to be doing a lot of getting more together, more conversations, more Zooms, and so forth. Okay, so I want to thank you all, and love you all. Thank you for being the powerhouses that you are. You are important. And Andromeda, again, thank you very much. Follow Andromeda if you want to really, really go deep diving into your chakras. She has other content. Of course, she is actually on the journey and in union. And I love you all. I want to thank you so much. Be well. Namaste. Much